Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today what I thought I would do is share with you a few sketchbook pages that I have completed since I shared the sketchbook tour of this Fabriano Venezia, I think it is, sketchbook. So I've gone back in and finished a few of the pages, and initially they just had a few marks on them and I've built them up into full spreads. So I thought I would talk through what I've done and maybe it will give you some ideas on how you can take your pages forwards. And I do find that once you have quite a few pages and sketchbooks on the go, it becomes a really nice fluid process and you get ideas just from flicking through your sketchbook. So I'll often sit down and just flick through, notice some things that I like, and then I'll bring those ideas into some of my other pages. And in front of me, I actually have a couple of other sketchbooks that I started in a previous video. I started some of the pages and I'm going to work a bit on those later. So you'll see me adding in some further details and building up the layers. So let's talk about this spread in front of me. When I shared this initially, it was just a start. And I had this section here that I had done with Neocolor 2 crayons and Sakura gel pens. And what I decided to do was to build the spread and bring it over onto this page. I quite often like to do that and create a nice expansive area. So I mixed up a blue using inks, various different colors, so that there's quite a bit of variation in the color. And I used a scrapey tool to spread it around. So something like this, maybe a little bit of a bigger one, just to get that nice spread. And then I was able to come over the top with a botanical design. And it shows up beautifully because the white is such a good contrast with the darker blue. And I used the Sakura gel pen for the drawing. But I have been using these pens lately and I really like these ones. These are the Uniball Signo pens. They have a really nice opaque white ink in them that shows up well. And of course there's always my trusty Posca paint pens, which I also use. And one of the reasons that I chose to do ink in the background is because it is permanent once dry, so it doesn't reactivate when you bring the pen over the top, which helps you to get a crisper and more defined line drawing in there. And then once I'd finished adding in the drawing, I went in and added in some embellishments or details using these Sakura gel pens. So I actually have a few different colors now. I just ordered a bright set because I've been playing around with brighter colors in my art, but I also have another set that has slightly more earthy colors in there. So I have some lime greens and golds and things like that. So I'll be using them a bit later when I go into some of my sketchbook spreads. And I find that just adding in some patterned areas helps to bring it all together. It helps to move the eye around, and it's just a nice, meditative, enjoyable way to work. So that's that spread. It's one of my favorites, definitely one that I'll be coming back to for idea generation down the track. Let's have a look at another one. So there's this one. This one was also just a start, like a really small start when I shared it to you last time. It had some yellow pencil and pastel mark making. You can only just see it underneath. So sometimes what you put down initially will barely show up in the final spread, but it will still be there. So I can still see the peaks of what was there. And it's actually creating a really nice glow through this drawing that I did of a magnolia branch. And so I was trying out a different botanical style here, or type of botanical. I've also got some cherry blossom and quite a lot of mark making and pattern using a variety of supplies. And my process at the moment in this sketchbook is primarily to start with watercolor and ink, very loose and flowy, come in with some pen work, and then quite often I've been blocking out areas and creating contrast with acrylic paint. And you can see that I've added in some sort of funky shapes using the acrylic to get that contrast. So this page is quite busy. I'm not sure if I'm completely happy with it, but there's certainly things that I like. And I do like this section here where you've got that sort of real soft, it's almost like a lavender haze, and I really like that. So then I have this spread here. So this one here, I'm trying to remember how this started. I think it was acrylic ink maybe, and just a bit of pattern, and then I've gone in, added more with the gel pen. So this beautiful blue is a gel pen, one of the Sakura gel pens. Works really well over the top of acrylic paint. So I've come in and blocked out an area with a creamy acrylic colour, which gives you a nice base to draw on top of. And then I added in, I think, a bit more pink, and it started to get very pink, and I wasn't enjoying the spread, and so I decided to bring in something earthy to mute it down, and I came in with some of this sort of muddied up green. And once I did that, I definitely felt like it, I don't know, it just sort of knocked back some of the brighter colours, made it more earthy, and it connected with me more. I also added in a bigger shape, so you can see this bigger botanical. And sometimes if everything is a little bit itty bitty, the page just doesn't pull together. So one of my go-tos when I'm struggling with a spread or a painting is to add in something in a different scale. So usually that means going bigger. For me anyway, I tend to do little bitty things, and sometimes all my painting needs is a larger shape or expressive mark just to balance out the smaller elements. So I'm always looking at how to play with contrast, and lately I've really been looking at scale a lot more. I used to look at light and dark all the time. Sometimes you might look at the shapes, so whether you have angular shapes or softer shapes. Colours, of course, can be contrasting, but scale is one to think about too. So let me see, do I have any others, or were they the main ones, I think? Yes. So they're the main pages that I have worked on since I last shared this sketchbook with you. And then the last video I made, I think it was the last video. Actually, there might be a video between this, because I just remembered we have an IKEA video that is under construction at the moment, but probably out as I'm talking about it. And this apron that I'm wearing was part of that haul. So I went to IKEA and picked up some new things for my studio. So anyway, in a recent video, I started this spread, and today what I want to do is just work into this one, and also I have this one. Let me just show you the spreads. I have this one here, and then this one, which is quite different for me, which is collage. So I have 3 different starts, and as I said before, one of my go-tos or my process is to then go in with pens. So I think that's where I'll start with these, is to add in some details using various pens that I have. So I have the gel pens, which are water soluble. So when you put them down, if you add paint over the top, they smudge a bit, which can create a nice effect. But it's also nice to have permanent pens. So everything that I have in this box here, these all dry permanent. So if you come over the top with paint, they don't go and mess up or anything like that. So they hold their designs or their lines. So I have Posca paint pens, Micron pens, and these Uniball Signo pens in there. And then I also have some acrylic paint, so I might get into adding in some acrylic paint. And as you can see from the spreads that I share, that's quite often part of my process, is to contrast those fluid materials, watercolour and ink, with some acrylic paint, which provides a little bit more opacity and makes it easier for me to block out areas if I want to. So I think I've set it up, hopefully provided a little bit of inspiration for you. Maybe you want to grab one of your sketchbooks and do some work as well. And I'm just going to kick off and get on with some mark making.
I don't know where this life will take me. I just know I'm here for the ride. Baby, there ain't no sense in waiting. Yeah, we don't know if we got the time. Oh, I'm just a country girl in a real big world. You can catch me on 65. Driving to the mountaintop, I don't make no stops. Yeah, this town was once all that I knew. I'll never forget my roots. I'll never forget my roots. Maybe I'll end up in the city, underneath all the flashing lights. Maybe I'll be in a new country, but when I go to sleep at night, oh, I'm just a country girl in a real big world. You can catch me on 65, driving to the mountaintop. I don't make no stops. Yeah, this town was once all that I knew. I'll never forget my roots. 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 There's nothing you can make me do to ever forget my roots. Oh, I'm just a country girl in a real big world. You can catch.
So you can see that I have added marks to all of the pages, and I've tried to mix it up and put in some different styles of mark making, and at times I quite often refer back to previous pages for ideas. This particular spread I'm envisaging going in kind of a similar direction to this one, so I probably will bring through some acrylic paint, maybe in a lighter colour at some point. I've also been, let me just grab, oh, it's here. I've also been adding those pen marks to this spread. So I started off with this pattern. I've added in some of the red pen. You can see how the gel pens, once you add water to them, they start to dissolve, and I'm actually quite curious to see how that looks when I start adding paint over the top. So I will be adding some acrylic paint in areas on this page, and the other one, where is it? I've only really just got this one going with some botanical kind of leaf shapes and this pattern here, which I've been loving lately, and I may end up expanding that out further. And I'm not sure with this spread, I might end up doing some negative space painting similar to this, or where is it? Or this one, but I'm just going to build up the pattern a bit more and then see where that one goes. So I think just before I finish off today, because I did say I would get the acrylic paints out, I think I might add a bit of acrylic paint just to this spread to start with. I might leave the other two because I want to build up some more pen work first and just add a quick layer of acrylic to this one because it's feeling a little bit bare compared to the others. There's a lot of white space going on. So I'm going to mix up just a pink colour, I think. I'm just feeling like putting some pink on this page and exploring a bit of an unusual colour combination. I will probably add a bit of glazing fluid in just so I can get some sheer areas. And I have a couple of tools here, so I'll be pushing the paint around with a silicone blade. I've also got a palette, what do you call it? Palette knife, and just getting some different textural effects. So that's where I'm going to leave this video today. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing the sketchbook spreads that I have been working on, and also getting some ideas around how I progress from those loose washy starts and begin to add in details and build up the layers.
Time before things didn't go right. Now I pay the price. It's keeping me up at night. I still see you like a ghost in my room. Now I know the truth, that it'll always be you. You are the love of my life. I won't mess it up this stuck in my mistakes. You're my worst habit to break. No, there's not a day where I don't wish I could